ago, I left a very stable, but yet very boring job as an engineer with the government to start my own business. When I got out on my own, I quickly realized that I needed to do something that would differentiate me from my competition. I had a few years experience and a few contacts, but everybody out there seemed to have more than me. So as I thought about what could I do that would differentiate me and make me different, I knew I had to have quality product and service. No business will survive without it. So I figured out my niche and what I would provide for my engineering services. But then I thought, what am I going to do that will really set me apart? And I thought, you know what? I love to make chocolate chip cookies. How many engineers do you know that would get up early every morning and make chocolate chip cookies for all of their meetings? How many do you know? Well, you know one. I decided that's what I would do. I would get up early every morning and make homemade chocolate chip cookies to take to all of my meetings, my workshops, and my conferences. Over the past 20 years, I've built a multi-million-dollar business, won many awards, and it's because I have two things: quality product and service, and then I made these chocolate chip cookies. And in doing this, I've developed a principle that I call the upper arrow. So the chocolate chip cookies are my upper arrow. They set me apart. Over the past year, my staff and I, we still make them at home, we made over 20,000 chocolate chip cookies for our clients. So it's worked for me, and I'm excited to share the principle of the upper arrow with you. So as you think, what could my upper arrow be? It's not going to be chocolate chip cookies, probably, but I believe every person has an upper arrow that they can offer. Something that just sets you apart and makes you different. I'm going to give you a couple of examples, and then I want you to think of your own. I have a contract with the city of San Francisco, and when I go out there, I like to use Uber, much cheaper than renting a car and trying to park in San Francisco. So I was out there in December, and I was doing a workshop, and I went to my workshop, and I finished up, and I got out my app and called for the Uber driver. This is a Monday afternoon. So he comes and he picks me up, and I get in the car, have all my workshop stuff, and of course my Tupperware with my leftover chocolate chip cookies. And I get in the car and he says, "Happy Friday!" And I said, So I thought to myself, I wonder if he knows that it's Monday? I am in San Francisco, so who knows what he's really thinking. So we drove for a little while, and then I said, "Did you know that it's really Monday?" He said, "I know, but did you know everybody's happier on Friday?" So I decided that I'm going to make every day a Friday. So that's one example of an upper arrow that you could do. You can just choose to have a great attitude. Did you know that that will set you apart? If you come into a room with great energy and optimism, that will set you apart. That could be your upper arrow. I've also had the opportunity to implement the upper arrow as I consult with organizations. I want to share a couple examples with you. I like to work with management teams and have them look at their company and say, as a company, what could our upper arrow be that would help us to recruit and retain the very best employees out there? I had the opportunity to work with a chiropractor, and we worked with his management team, and as they looked at what they wanted to achieve, they said, you know what, we want a way to really motivate our employees. And so they decided as a management team, they were going to set some really lofty goals. And if their employees accomplished these goals, they were going to take them all on a cruise. How's that for an upper arrow? They did it. And just 3 weeks ago, they all went on a cruise together. And that was an upper arrow that everybody in their organization was excited about. There was an engineering firm that I was working with, and they wanted to work with all the employees. And when I do this kind of work, then I encourage each employee to think about their own skills, abilities, passions, maybe something that they don't get to do in their regular job description that could be an upper arrow to still add value to the organization. So one of the organizations that I worked with had a young engineer, and she was fairly new to this company. And as I talked to her about her skills and how she thought she could add value, she said, you know, we're not that good at having staff meetings. And I had done interviews with the owner ahead of time, and he said, I hate staff meetings. It just drains my energy, and I don't like to organize it. She said, I would love to organize the staff meetings. She said, I can take that on, and I can make them fun. And she came to me at a conference a couple of weeks ago, and she said, you would not believe in the last year how much our whole organization has changed because everybody loves staff meetings. She said, I make them fun, I make them interactive, I divide up responsibilities so everybody's involved. And after I talked to her, the owner came up and he said, oh my gosh, this is the best thing that ever happened because it's not stressful. I show up and my employees are taking care of everything. So she took the initiative and implemented the upper arrow. She did something, it was outside of her job description, but it was something that really added value to the company. One other employee that we did this exercise with, she was a runner. She's run over 40 marathons. She loves physical fitness. Her job description is to be the office manager. And she came and she said, you know what? I want to start a wellness program. We've never had a wellness program for our company before, but that's something I would love to do. So as her upper arrow, she took on the task to set up a company wellness program. She ordered pedometers and she set up prizes. They even got all of the families involved in her wellness program. Do you think she was happier to come to work because she was implementing her upper arrow? I promise you she was. She was more passionate about it. She's more excited about it. So this principle of the upper arrow, it can apply to so many things. I encourage you, think about it. You can make chocolate chip cookies. You could be more positive. You could start a wellness program. So many applications. So whether it's as an individual, in the company that you work in, or even in your family, think about your relationships. What could you do to implement the upper arrow? I want to close with one last story. When I started my business, I hired a business coach to help me put together my plan. This was 20 years ago. He gave me a lot of advice and helped me structure my plan. But the thing that he told me that I remember the most is, Sydne, you need to learn to be 100% present. 20 years ago, I didn't have an iPhone, an iPad, I didn't even have a laptop or the internet. And that was his advice to me. Learn to be 100% present. My upper arrow that I choose to implement with my family is when I walk in the door, I turn off my phone so I can look my kids in the eyes and I can talk to them about their day. My challenge to you, go figure out what is your upper arrow. It will change your life, I promise. Woo-hoo!